Bam! So it's early in the AM. I've got some energy, and it's time to talk about some key points on why you might be gaining weight on keto rather than losing weight. So I'm going to get right onto it because that's what you guys want. Yes, can you gain weight on keto? Well, most of you guys who've been following me, this would be an old conversation. It's like, why am I talking about it again? Because I'm getting so many more people. Keto is freaking growing. The underground movement. It's kind of weird because I really don't want it to be overground. I just want it to be a conversation about how the body works and then just leave it at that, and then people can decide if they want to do it so it doesn't seem so cult-like, you know. I want it to be something that people just fall into and have the choice. Do you want to do this? Do you not want to do this? Because if you don't want to do it, don't do it. I'm always telling people don't do it if you really don't feel like it's for you. But for those who are interested, then I just want to give you some key points to think about. So, can you gain weight on keto? Yes. So basically, let's break it down. You only gain weight on keto in the first stage of your adaptation. Basically, you're not adapted yet. But that's what I don't understand about all of these studies. They're subjective because they don't explain or give a timeline or talk about metabolic damage or insulin resistance and all this metabolic damage that you guys come with prior to even doing a ketogenic protocol. So for me, it's quite precarious why these things aren't talked about. Anytime you do any type of diet radical to the body, it's gonna slap bad. There is no diet that you can do, and just have these perfect results. They're subjective because you guys, or many of you guys, quantify your body by weight on a scale. And that has nothing to do with health at all, whatsoever. I keep talking to these women who are like 5'5" and higher and they want to be 115 pounds. That's not healthy. Yeah? Bones, skin, muscle tissue, all of these things are heavy. And I should turn that darn social media off because it's distracting. So the goal is not to lose weight. For you guys, it is. But for what I'm trying to tell you, the goal is not to lose weight in the first stage of your adaptation. And we got sirens going outside because, we've got to keep that tradition. The goal is to get into ketosis. And from there, in this process of trying to heal your body, you can then decide how much body fat do you want to utilize to change your body composition. And that would be in a second or third stage of your keto adaptation, because there sort of is a middle phase, a wonky phase, a phase of really trying to be highly adapted, because the brain is always in the beginning. So the beginning of your keto adaptation to me would be the first year, is always inclined to want to go back to utilize glucose as its primary source of fuel because that's all it's known. And it's like crack cocaine. So let's talk about how to stop that. So essentially what makes you store fat is insulin. And I ask you guys, get a glucometer on a ketogenic protocol so you can see what your glucose is. Go get your A1C checked. It's very important to know, because if your insulin is high, if the insulin is stacking up in the bloodstream, which it's, for some people, you can get rid of the glucose, but you can't get rid of the insulin very easily. So that's a process. And if you want to drop body fat, your insulin must drop with your glucose, or your insulin must dissolve rather than stacking up into the bloodstream, preventing any type of ketogenic fat loss. Insulin is going to spike when glucose is spiked. if glucose is spiking, why would the body use ketones? It would defer and always, not defer, but it would always go back to its primary source of fuel that it's always known. So you drop your carbs, you deplete your glycogen. And once you deplete your glycogen, it's hard to go and refuel the glycogen. But what you will see on your milligrams per deciliter or millimolars on your glucose monitor, higher than 4.4 or 80 milligrams per deciliter, when you see those numbers, it's because of stress. And stress manifests in sleep, poor sleep. It can manifest in parametabolic damage, gut health, and it can manifest in overtraining, their timing of meals, the type of food, everything. It can make it stress out the adrenals, the thyroid, cancer, any infections you might have, including just simple as a cold or flu, can spike your glucose, histamine intolerance. That's what the body does when it's stressed. It increases its blood sugar. That's what it does through gluconeogenesis. If you're going through gluconeogenesis and your glucose, your blood glucose continues to spike, you're not going to lose any weight on keto. You guys need to learn this lesson. So that means you got to regulate your blood sugar. Because a lot of you guys are insulin resistant. Resistant. Yes. Pancreas isn't working very well. So you tend to create a lot of glucose through gluconeogenesis, and then you have this over-secretion of insulin. A lot of you guys do that because you came from the carb world. All the pancreas does know how to do is overshoot the amount of insulin to get, because it can't do the math, you see. It can't do the math anymore. And all the pancreas likes to do is secrete a lot of insulin. And insulin makes you store fat. Period. All right. What are we going to do about it, right? So this is why you would gain weight on keto. You're also eating a lot of fat in the beginning, and there's nothing you can do about it because a ketogenic protocol is high fat. Some of you guys forget to do a ketogenic protocol to get healthy. Weight on a scale does not indicate your health, and you guys are fracked up. You name it, I see it every day. From shingles, lots of you guys having bouts of shingles, to eczema, to IBS, to Crohn's, to ulcerative colitis, to estrogen dominance, to gallbladder issues, to thyroid, Hashis, hypothyroidism, to sleepless nights, to gut infections, to candida overgrowth. And this woman's like, you need to talk about candida. I was like, my earlier videos might be wonky, but I talk a lot about candida overgrowth and parasites. To more serious things like gene mutations, MTHFR, to you're always sick. You've got high blood pressure. You've got low blood pressure. You've got a lot of LDL small particle, Bs. It's crazy, right? Calcium buildup in the arteries. Like, you're constipated. You're headachy. You're depressed. You got ADD. Your mood swings. Your PMS. You're manic. You have poor impulse control. You're addicted to a lot of stuff. You're tired all the time. Like, the list goes on and on and on. And I know that you guys tick-boxed one of those. You think you sleep deep, but you wake up tired. You don't perform well. You crash in the middle of the day. You crash post-prandial. Tongue twister. You have reactive hypoglycemia. You're cranky. I mean, you don't dream much. Your wounds don't heal properly. You got low iron. I mean, the list goes. Your pee is bubbly. Your stool floats. Like, you got low T. The list goes on and on. And so instead of talking about those things, we're talking about weight on the scale, which could be water and tissue. Come on, guys. Keto is way more beneficial than weight on a scale. You have to keto adapt first, guys. Because if you don't keto adapt first, it is meaningless to lose weight. You will see weight on the scale in the indications of water and tissue, especially if you do not do it correctly. Now, some people do excess fat, and some people do things correctly. And the more you're overweight, the more it's the potential of losing body fat. But if you got like 5 to 35, 40 pounds in that first stage of your keto adaptation, you're not going to see weight loss on the scale. No, not really. It's some water and tissue. So what you really want to do is get into the second and third phase of your keto adaptation. And that, guys, takes time. It takes time. It takes time. You have to get through your poor sleep. You have to get to bed early. You can't work out in the evenings. You guys have night shift jobs. You've got kids. You don't know how to manage your stress. That's the problem. That's the problem. So, what are we going to do about it? You know, if you have eczema, get off high histamine foods. Test to see, track, use your glucometer, test your glucose to see if you're having an allergenic response to food, because if you are, your glucose is going to spike, your insulin's going to spike, you're going to store in that first stage of your keto adaptation, because your fat must start at 200 grams. Because in the beginning, you have to flood the bloodstream to let the middle of that whole thing know, the medulla, that a new gasoline substrate is going to come into the body to be utilized. You start going on all these message boards, but who really is getting the business, right? Who's really doing that? It's not a lot of people. You know, people factor weight on the scale, and that's subjective. Because anybody who does a bodybuilder competition can lose weight on the scale. We've seen that. So you want to make sure that you're actually repairing your thyroid. You are repairing your malabsorption, that you can't absorb D or your B's or just blah, your iron is blah. Yeah, your magnesium, not there. These are the things you want to check for. The gut dysbiosis, the bloating, right, the leaky gut. These are the things that you want to fix. When these things start repairing, because you're eliminating allergenic foods, because you're going to bed early to cross that bridge over to ketosis land, because you guys are changing your workout schedule, your meal schedule, you stop trying to intermittent fast or eating too little or eating 1,000 calories of a ketogenic protocol, which all it does is just make you fatter. When you're ready to change those things and you use your glucometer and you track your process or your progress, eventually you will notice stable ketogenic numbers, and then you can drop the fat. And that's when you get the business. And only then. So you got to reach the second stage of your keto adaptation, and the third is time. And then you can get lean. And then you can use ketogenesis for bodybuilder competition, fitness competition. Then you can, boom. But for now, we're just trying to get healthy. If you guys want to learn more, you can go to stephanieperson.com. Stephanie the Business. stephanieperson.com. That's my website. I've got downloadable diets now that cater to histamine intolerance, hypoglycemics, obese, average to fit people, and some basic recipes. Yes. Keto approved with no junk in it. Because a lot of you guys have histamine intolerance. And if you've got stuff on the skin and in the scalp, you need to rethink the food that you're eating and get off of the cheese and the nuts and the caffeine. Yes. You can go to Stephanie, the Business Person, on my Facebook fan page, Stephanie Ketogenic on my Instagrammy, Steph, the Business, spelled B-I-Z-N-E-S-S, on my Periscope. And I'm going to grind until I can grind no more. And I'm the person who's not going to lie to you, who's not going to sell you freaking, slipped out. I'm not the one who's going to sell you, a dream in a freaking pot. I'm telling you, things are hard work, they're not easy, and keto is only for people who are willing to work their ass off.